So, here we are, the day after 200 mil all on an Ironman. It's the end of an era, I guess. I said to a few people that I'd do a bank video slash mini ramble after I finish skilling, so here we go to those people. A lot of you who see this will probably already know me, but for those who don't, I'll start with an overview of my RS background and how we got here. So, all the way back in 2004, when the pterodactyls were flying, a friend of mine from school invited me to an internet cafe to play some Counter-Strike. I didn't have the internet or a PC at home at this point, so I was like, sure, why not? Little did I know, that's what would basically set off my Runescape journey, which definitely isn't an addiction. I can quit anytime I want, of course. Anyways, a few minutes after going inside the internet cafe, I saw someone killing chickens at Fred's farm. I thought, damn, those graphics are shit. But he looked like he was having fun, at least. After talking to him for a bit and asking him what you can do on the game and what's it called, he told me to look over there, and there were three guys basically having a LAN party PKing at Hill Giants in free-to-play with monk robes and rune skims. I guess that was pretty beast at the time. From there, I basically lived in that internet cafe, playing RuneScape with every spare minute I had, until we eventually got the internet and a PC at home a few years later. It definitely wasn't anything compared to the hours people play now, but I played on a few different accounts fairly consistently, mainly different types of pures, from 2004 to 2009. And around late 2009, early 2010, I started taking it a bit more serious. From 2010 to 2012, I managed to max and work my way up to top 50 overall, which was a bit over 2 bill XP at the time. And I also finished trimmed completionist, which for people who didn't play back then or don't remember, it was the completionist cape trimmed with gold. And basically you had to complete all mini games and random achievements that they had at the time. Things like 5k Castle Wars games, 30 weeks of collecting rocks, which were just like, you had to do different skills, and every time you got those two rocks randomly while doing the skill, it'd reset and you'd have to do that every week, and then you'd put the rocks on the statue at the end of the week. They had 4k Chompy kills and some random PVM stuff too, like Queen Black Dragon journals. Anyways, not long after that, the Squeal of Fortune came into the game and basically ruined any remnants of skilling goals or achievements. And on top of that, EOC came shortly after, so I was already considering quitting at that point. Then 2013 rolls around and Old School is released, so I instantly swapped over and ended up maxing my main in August of 2014. Some of those early day skilling metas are nostalgic as hell, but I can't say I'd want to do it again, considering how broken the game was, QOL wise. Everything is just so much smoother now. Anyways, I continued playing for a while beyond max, did some base XP and finished 200 mil Hunter in 2015, and was floating around the top 10 for mains at that point. To be honest, after I finished Hunter, I felt pretty lost and I wasn't really enjoying the game that much. I'd considered starting an Ironman, but when I looked into the meta at the time, from memory, it was like 10,000 Zora kills to bank pure essence, magic logs, and seeds for farming. Just didn't seem very fun. And at this point, I was basically only a skiller too, so outside of some God Wars dungeon and Corp, uh, I didn't really feel like surrounding my gameplay just through camping Zora was the best play. So towards the end of 2015, I ended up giving RS3 a go. I'd heard that Iron Man had no microtransactions and kind of wanted to try some of the new content that had been released since I last played. So from late 2015 to late 2016, early 2017, I ended up playing RS3 Iron, maxing, and got to like 1.2 bill XP. Did a bunch of clues and PVM on there, which honestly was really fun for a while, but the problem was that they kept adding more and more dailies. I could go into detail, but it'd be pretty boring, to be honest. Let's just say by the end of my time on RS3 Ironman, I was doing 6 to 10 hours of dailies every day and just never got to play the actual game. It's not, and that's not an exaggeration. It was fucked. The dailies were so broken in the meta that if you didn't do them, you were trolling. If you wanted to be competitive, so late 2016, early 2017, I ended up swapping back to old school, and the Iron Man meta looked a lot more promising with some of the updates that had happened. Um, because I was like 2 years late to the game mode, I also didn't really feel the urge to be competitive like I had been in the past, or at least that's what I was telling myself. So because I was trying to step back a bit from playing big hours and didn't want the temptation of competition, I ended up making my Iron Man a Zerker with 75 attack. This is basically so I didn't truly see what rank I was on the high scores, and on top of that, I've always liked Zerkers. I'd originally maxed as a Zerk on my main back in 2014 as well, so I started my journey as an old school Iron Man and was chipping away at a few easier 99s for around 7 months or so. I'd noticed that rank 1 Iron Man Hunter was out of reach pretty early into my accounts. I wasn't too worried about that. But sometime around the middle of 2017, I saw that rank 1 had been banned. I think this was Situation or Tyler, if some of you remember him from back in the day. Anyways, now instead of rank 1 Hunter being like 150 mil, it was only 30 to 40 mil. And it had been about 2 years since I did it on the main, so I figured why not run it back and try to get rank 1. So the next 3 to 4 months I ended up camping Hunter to lock in the rank, and towards the end I realised that I could probably snipe rank 1 range too. The guy who was currently rank 1 was just slowly gaining XP doing NMZ or something. So as soon as I finished Hunter, I just went and dropped the chins at the monkey tunnels and going to rank 1 in that as well. Obviously I knew none of this was efficient, but at the time I had no real plans to PVM or compete in overall rank, so I figured why not take the opportunities that were presenting themselves. By the time I'd finished Hunter and Range, it was around early 2018, and I figured all the other rank 1 skills were fairly out of reach or unrealistic, so I just kept pushing for max total and doing some of the post 99 skills I enjoyed. Right around this time, I'd started doing some low-end PVM stuff that was out at the time, like Chambers, Demonics, Zora, Slayer bosses, and ended up having pretty decent gear as a Zerk, and got to 11 out of 12 at Chambers, just missing Tebow. I technically maxed as a Zerk in July of 2018 and hit 1 bill XP at the same time. Fast forward to November of 2019. Throughout that time, I'd continued doing random PVM as well as managed to lock in rank 1 to 200 mil construction and was sitting at a bit over 1.7 bill total XP. From there, I ended up breaking the build because I wanted to do proper PVM like Solo, Chambers, God Wars Dungeon, Inferno, Tob, etc. Like, there'd been a lot of good content coming out in that sort of time period, and I just wanted to give it a go without being restricted. And yeah, being a Zerker was just counterproductive to progressing skill wise and content wise. So from the end of 2019 to mid 2021, I'd guess the ratio of PVM to skilling would have been about 50-50. And I peaked at rank 5 EHP and XP in June of 2021. From here, I grew a bit of an obsession with completion and collection log. And I realised that rank 1 collection log for Ironman was pretty attainable at the time, so I ended up setting that as my goal. At the time, I was still skilling part-time, but from mid-2021 to late 2022, I'd say the ratio swapped to about 90% clog and 10% skilling until I'd hit rank 1 clog right around TOA release. So that would have been roughly August of 2022. Take that as you will, though, of course. Like, clogging wasn't very popular or competitive yet. It was before the Bodhi clogging series hype and whatnot, but it was still a goal of mine regardless. After that, I did some TOA on release, but I didn't really enjoy it, and I still don't to this day. But with some of the updates it's had, plus the summer sweep up, it's becoming more bearable these days. But yeah, TOA really turned me off PVM and clogging for a long time, especially with Shadow being so good everywhere. I basically reverted back to full Skillerman mode, besides the odd PVM where Shadow wasn't overly useful. I basically swapped back from 90% PVM to 90% skilling from the end of 2022 all the way up until yesterday when I finished 200 mil all. Did a few things here and there over the last few years, like DT2, Grandmaster CAs, Wildy bosses, and some raids with the boys, but it was primarily just spent finishing skilling. I kept up with most of my clues as well while I was finishing off Agility, Slayer, the Gatherers. But so I guess that brings us to the current day. Obviously a lot more went on over the years, but that's pretty much an overview of how I got here. Don't want to chew your ear off too much with nostalgia trips and stuff. The reason I'm making this video is because many times recently and over the last few years especially, I've had questions about what does your bank look like, how much is it worth, what's your playtime, how many pets do you have, like what's next after 200 mil. And you got other things like are you obese and have you ever seen sunlight? I get it, like people are curious and they're all pretty valid questions, to be fair. I'd probably be asking the same thing. So I guess we'll get started then. We'll start with the bank because even without people asking for it, I think it would be cool to get an idea of what the bank looks like having just finished 200 mil all. Now that I don't have to use all my banked resources to finish off skills like prayer, smithing, crafting and herb, I can just stockpile everything and see some clear progression. That's something I've always been jealous of too, when I'd like see the pure PVMers or clogger irons and their banks, and they've just never used any resources outside of the necessities to like upkeep pots and food. There's just something about seeing all those stacks, it's really satisfying. It's most likely the TISM, but I genuinely enjoy looking at other people's bank stacks and layouts. Like, even if there's not much in there, I just like seeing the layouts. This probably won't be a super long-winded video or anything. You guys don't need to hear about every little detail. Like, if you play RS, you most likely know what all of the items in the bank are, and yeah, you'll see quite a few placeholders throughout my bank as well. The reason behind that is because it gets really frustrating having to reorganize the bank every time a new item or set of items comes out. So I usually give a bit of leeway, especially within the gear tab, so that when new releases come out, I can just chuck them in without having to spend hours satisfying the OCD again. There's also a few placeholders in the bank that are just items I'm currently missing or plan to get, so if you see any placeholders in random spots, that's most likely the reason why. Alright, so diving in. The first tab is it's just items that you wouldn't use too often, like Moon's Gear or Justy, Sunfire, and like rings that you wouldn't necessarily use all the time, but you wouldn't want to go and get these items back again, right? So they're basically just filling up bank space. Got the Verzik helm in here so that whenever new CAs come out, I'm not chopping and changing between Zuck helm and Verzik. I can just use this one for a bit. Got some ammo up here. Got a bunch of Onyx bolts. I need to get around to selling a few things to the shop. You'll probably see that throughout the bank. Got a decent amount of cannonballs, but plan on making some more now that 200 ml is done. Random staves, rings, yeah, pretty straightforward. As I go through the bank, if you need to like look a bit more in depth, like feel free to pause it or whatever. So next tab we've got teleports and runes, pretty straightforward. I did recently go and spend a bit of time getting a white stack of everything, but I have used some lava runes, and we got the new Aether runes from Yama, so but still a healthy amount of runes in here. I got to keep everything basically from 200 ml RC because I had plenty of leftover GP from PVM, so a lot of this is just ZMI, and the soul runes are from Zaya RC way back in the day. Down here I did take all the teleport scrolls out of the book because it's just getting annoying opening clues up, and they were just constantly going in the bank and having to reuse them back on the scroll books. It's just a pain in the ass, so I sacrificed the bank slots for those. Yeah, not much else to say here really, right? Next tab. This is the tab that most people want to see, I would say. Me personally, I do drop over every single dupe to my main. It's not because I need the money necessarily or anything on the main, like it's nice to have some stuff on the main, but it's mostly because it just looks really clean, especially when you're like taking gear out of the bank, you're gearing up for something, you can easily distinguish if you've missed a switch or missed an item. But yeah, I do like looking at the banks of people who have collected everything like throughout their entire Ironman account, but for me, I just think this is much cleaner. I've got one of each blowpipe. This one's got a full pipe of amethyst darts, and this one's dragon, so I don't have to chop and change those when I do Turiel or yeah. The placeholders over here are just, like I said before, for when new content comes out, new weapons, new gear. Some things here are ready for like Eldritch and Harm and Nightmare drops, and then I've still got to find a place for Oathplate, the new Yama armor as well, but again, pretty straightforward. Got most items in the game. I'm just missing a couple small things, which we'll go over a bit later in the clog. Moving on, this is the potions tab. We've got some vials of blood up here. I guess it's not really a potion, but we'll just chuck it in here. We've got mixes from when I was finishing off Herblore. I definitely don't have as many mixes as you might see in some other like Ironman banks that are going for 200 ml. I didn't really need to make many because I got a lot of herbs from raids, PVM in general, I guess. That's why the ratios might seem a bit off compared to some of those other guys' banks as well. Like I'll have less brews, but I might have more of a different type of potion, just because you get more of a variety from PVM opposed to just camping contracts, where you might just only get irrits or toad flax, like loads of those sorts of herbs. I did overshoot on my staminas a bit, like we got the run energy changes, which changed kind of how much I was using at SEPI and ZMI and Blast Furnace towards the end. But I do use these. I utilize them through like in my glue setups, and even with the pre-pod device you can actually use the mixers, so I just use them to heal up, save some time eating food. Yeah, I mean, I got a massive stack of super attacks. I didn't have to make them into mixers, so I saved myself a bit of arthritis there. I think long term, the only thing I might have to make, I mean, this is like super long term, but could potentially run out of super combats, but I doubt it. We're good for a long time. Yeah, next tab. It's just herbs, seeds, well, the seeds that I've kept anyway, because obviously I'm not doing like tree runs or herb runs or contracts or anything anymore, so I've just kept some of the seeds that I may use in the future, like if I ever want to do a Swarry again or get some crystal shards from acorns. Decided to keep them in there. Some mixology stuff over here. Got secondaries, still a fair bit left over. Running low on venom sacks because I've been sacrificing loot at racks to try and get the pet since 600 KC. So I've been having to kill the little ones whenever I run out of anti-venoms. I don't really like the idea of sacrificing loot like that they started to bring in. I get that it's kind of like a fail-safe in terms of going dry, but yeah, it's really annoying, especially when you need the secondaries from the boss to make the potions to kill the boss. Like, it's a bit silly, but that's how they've made it. It'll be cool to see these herbs stack up now that I've finished Herblore completely. Like, over time, once I do a bit more PVM and everything, I'm sure this will stack up. It's still looking pretty depleted from using it all recently, finishing herb. Besides that, I've got the bird nest in here, a bit of leftovers from birdhouse runs. At the moment, I've been using every single god egg. Like, every time I get an invent of them, I've just gone and sent them because I'm one evil chicken piece away from finishing that. And I think that's about it for this tab. So jump into this one. Now, this is a bit of a unique tab. I haven't really seen anyone lay their bank out like this before, but it's basically fletching, I guess you could say fire making, fishing, cooking, and a few misc things in here. Basically anything food wise. Got some wines in here, purple sweets. Kind of gives you an idea of how many clues I've done. Looks like they've dropped in price a little bit. Like I said before, I've got a full blowpipe of amethyst and dragon darts, so I've got plenty when you factor those in. My quiver must have the amethyst arrows in there as well. I've got about 70,000 of them, I'm pretty sure. 70 or 80,000. Yeah, I mean, got a lot of sharks here. You might think, like, what the fuck? Why is there so many sharks in there? I went 49,996 for the big shark, so about 10x. And that's where most of those are from. I might end up fishing some more anglers in the future. I've already been doing some Karams, like post 200ml just for clues whenever I need AFK. It's not a terrible option now that there's nothing else. So you might see them stack up in the future. Nothing much to say here. I kept, obviously there's a lot of leftover sturgeons. Like I said before, I never needed to use as many as what most people probably would. Yeah, I think that's it. We got pretty stacked up on Dragon Bolts and everything for the future. Vorkath was pretty OP. On to the next tab. So this is crafting, construction, I guess a little bit of rune crafting, prayer, mining, smithing, and then all the various tools you might use day to day. been able to get rid of a lot of my skilling outfits, obviously now that I'm finished up with 200mm all, so save a bit of bank space there. That's why you won't see anything like fire making outfits or anything like that. But this one's pretty self-explanatory. There's a fair bit of GP in here if you kind of look over. I have sold some things recently, but still got a lot of hides and battle stars that I could make and sell. Pretty keen to see this tab stack up over time. I remember there was a time where I was just yeeting planks off the account for bank space and dropping them to the main, because I've had 200mm cons since 2019, so but we just stack them up now. You just keep getting them from places, and we got sailing coming obviously, so it's not bad to have a few extra of those just in case. Got a lot of bone shards. You might think, why the fuck haven't you used those? But I got 200mm prayer a while ago now, and I still had mining to go, and I figured the calcified rocks are extremely good AFK in my opinion. Like, it's one of my favourite things. It's guaranteed minute 15 AFK. And I figured if they ever make that moon helm clog slot, I'd kick myself for not at least doing a good amount of, I like to call it the wall, but calcified rocks. So I ended up getting a bit over 200 of the loop halves, but the moon helm is 1 in 500, so I'd still have to be pretty damn lucky and to get that. It must be the rarest item in the game. It's such an insane item. But if that ever got added to the clog, I could guarantee there'd be a few unhappy campers, to say the least. But yeah, that's that tab. So moving on, this one is like GP Alks. Got a few Slayer drops down the bottom here as well, and some caskets up here. These are the ones that I'll basically just continue forever, even after the regular log is completed, because you always do hards and it leaves just for third age chance. And what I do is I normally stack up 50 of each and open them, because doing more than like 10, 15 masters at a time is kind of misery, if I'm being completely honest. And it also keeps the high scores clean. I do need to go back to Muspa and stack up on Essence. I pretty much ran myself dry finishing 200mm Slayer, and Jellies wouldn't be a bad AFK, like with Venetabos, so Muspa might be on the cards pretty soon. The GP stack's looking pretty healthy. I have considered buying the max bank space. It's fucking expensive, and it'd be nice if they just let us use like coffer GP or something, but at this point, I mean, I don't think they're ever gonna change that, so it's probably safe to dump the GP into it now if I really wanted to. I think it's something like 800mm for 40 slots from here, or something like that, maybe 750, but something I'll definitely have to consider in the future if they keep bringing out new content and shit. Now, the rune items, I have out heaps in the past, or like sold them to the shop, but in recent times I've been wanting to like keep every rune drop I get. I don't know why, I just think it looks cool in the bank. And I don't necessarily need the GP, I can kind of live off everything else. Like, looking down the bank here, you can see got some amulets there, there's just money floating about everywhere in the bank, like if I really needed it. But if push came to shove and there was something I hectically needed GP for, I'd happily sell this off, but I don't really need to, so we'll just keep stacking it up for now. It looks pretty sick in my opinion. I got a bunch of blood shards over here. I did the last, like, I want to say 40mm or so thieving advised, just to kind of future-proof myself in case there was content that came out that Blood Fury was just absolutely amazing at. But I try to conserve them a little bit, because I don't really want to be heading back and having to get more blood shards if anything ever comes out. But that'll last a while there. I did recently, it's kind of what I've been working on outside of skilling, I did recently use up about 700 to 800 totems. It was a actually surprisingly long grind. Like I wasn't expecting it to take so long, but when you factor in doing the doing Skatizo, then doing all the clues, then opening those up, and then doing all the masters from those, like definitely adds up. Like it took me a while, but we ended up getting, I believe my KC's 1485 for Skatizo, so we're sitting at rank 2 Ironman right now for that. I definitely never want to stack that many up again, so I'd probably use them if I ever get to 100 or something. We'll probably just use them up. Um, Nothing much down here. I'll probably end up adding a few more drops. I have dropped off a lot of whips and occults, so it's not a good representation of like what I've actually had. Um, I just decided to keep a few because who knows, like maybe the whips will have use in the future or occults for like wildy stuff. Like you just never know. So um, that's that. I don't think there's anything else in here to really talk about. So this tab is or was my junk tab. I would still consider it a junk tab, but it's essentially just items that, again, you wouldn't really want to get back. Like if you drop them or it's inconvenient to go to your house to get it. Like this, got some skilling sets up here. You need graceful fishing and mining outfits for different clue steps, so obviously they're going to stay in the bank. And then I kept the runecrafting outfit in here because who knows, in the future I might have to runecraft blood runes or any sort of new rune that come out, like with Yama, so just decided to keep that in there. There's a bunch of like recharge shit up here, some EQ shards from Nex, like I'll use that for Sarah most likely when I go for that pet. And then just a bunch of stacks that I probably wouldn't want to drop off. Moving down here, I think it's just mostly like some Slayer shit that you need here. Here's those lupars that I got from mining. So I think it's about 120 mil mining XP to get 500 of these, which would be the rate for the helm. So pretty insane grind if they ever make that a clog slot. Got some leftover crystal keys. I have finished Dragonstone, so these will just pile up. I don't need to use those at all. I decided to start keeping firelighters recently. I didn't for a very long time, but again, it's the same as those teleport scrolls. I just don't really want to have to keep dropping shit. As it is, I already got to drop off all the god pages, which I don't really want to do, but they just take up way too much bank space. Like, unless they do some sort of change to the bank, I can't see myself ever collecting those. So hopefully they never bring out anything that's that uses those. Sorry, Sebe. What else we got in here? A couple of slots. I think I'll just kept them there in case I get some extra kits from like Tob or some untradeable stuff that I don't really want to drop. And then you got clue stuff down here for like masters, elites. Kept a bunch of and sold Abbey heads, so that I never have to worry about that master clue step, I believe it is. And then on the right here, I think this is just wieldy stuff like Scorpia with the monk robes, or like wieldy bosses, prosy, things like that. Yeah. Oh, I did keep some cad pots unfinished too. That's another clue step. And then finally, this is I call this like the temporary junk tab. So it's like untradeable stuff that like these will be used on the pets, and that's just free bank space. And then it might be items that I'll drop to the main eventually, or things like these god eggs, like they'll just be free bank spaces as soon as I get evil chicken. I need one more axe piece to make the executioner's axe or whatever it is. So that'll be some more slots, and then yeah, just shit that I'll end up dropping once the content's done, basically. some medium clues. Yeah, nothing special in here. I need one more ancient crystal still from Revs. So I still don't have the teleporter in my house. Um, but yeah, that's the bank, I guess. What else is there to say? It's 22 bill on the money. If people care about that, guess that's a pretty good amount considering I don't have any dupes on the account right now. I've totally cleared out all dupes, so not bad. Um, what's next? We got. I guess we'll go to the playtime. I know a lot of people ask about that. So in the past, I've kind of kept under wraps like my playtime because of security issues, and but now we've got Jagex account. I'm pretty confident that it doesn't really matter. But anyways, that's the reveal. We got 1,780 days. This is extremely accurate. I only got 200 mil yesterday, so take that as you will. For CAs, I was GM up until about a week ago when the Yammer CAs came out, and I just haven't been back there yet because we were finishing off 200 mil all, but I'll hit that up soon, finish that off. Moving into the collection log, we're at 1444. I guess how I'm going to do this is I'll just go over the bosses or like just the pieces of content that I haven't completed because there's no point looking at everything that's green. You can see I finished it, so it doesn't really matter too much. So we'll start with Mox. Going over this, I'll just give you a grasp of like how I might tackle certain content basically. So with Mox, I'm waiting for Konar just to do as much on task as possible. And then after that, you can just camp it. There's nothing special there. I've been doing racks recently, so we have been sacrificing loots in 600 KC. That's why the log looks a little bit weird. Hopefully we will get that soon to get the White Rancor. Callisto, I'm just missing the pet. I plan on doing the like 5 or 6 mans, like the Elite Clue meta, just to get that passively at some point. Not too worried about it. Serb, I do enjoy this boss. We are just missing the jar. So luckily I enjoy it because we're kind of getting cooked here. Bit over 5x, but that's okay. Sarah, straightforward. I mean, I'm just waiting. We'll do as many on task as possible throughout Kona and then polish that off by camping it afterwards. Corp, this will be a very long grind. Like I'm just missing the pet. Done pretty well so far. We got the shield set. But yeah, 1 in 5k is pretty brutal, so not expecting that anytime soon, but it's something easy to gear up for. It's pretty chill. I don't mind Corp, but hopefully I don't really want them to make it like a team-based Ironman thing, but I could potentially see them doing that in the future. Very spooned at DKs. No complaints here, but it's going to be fucking boring doing Rex by itself, but that's just something to do on Kona. Now, Duke is one of the bosses where it's getting some changes in the summer sweep up, so I also need Oath Plate before I do this to get the slash bonus, so we're just kind of waiting it out with Duke. Coliseum, I definitely plan on finishing this up at some point. Need the Rallis and the pet. Rallis is good in some niche spots, like has a use at Tob and Chambers, so it'd be nice to get that finished. One of the best pieces of content in the game we got here, GG's. Everybody I know just loves this boss, especially when you're only going for like the jar. It's just really, really fun. Yeah, can't wait for that one. Kona grind. Huey, not much to say, just kill the boss, get the drop. Zami, this will be pretty chill actually. I haven't done many kills, but I did a trip not long ago with the Scorching Bow, and fuck, it is very chill. Not Not too worried about this pet really, but that'll be Duradel in the future. Levi were actually green logged, but doesn't count because I don't have the Virtus top yet. Next, this is another summer sweep up boss. I have been doing some recently, but we'll stop now until we get some sort of confirmation on the updates. We're just missing the hilt, so see how that goes. Nightmare again, this is getting changed. I heard they're removing a phase for PNM, so that'll speed it up quite a lot. I'm missing basically every rare drop, so that will be a pretty long grind even with the changes, but I think we'll knock it out eventually. It's just none of this shit really has much use, that's the problem too, so I just prioritize other things really. The mace would be nice, I guess, but outside of that, just chip away at it. Whisper is something I do plan on doing pretty soon actually. Like I was saying before, I'm like out of essence, so probably hit this up soon. I heard it's getting nerfed as well, like some of the loot is getting changed, getting less Torstols, things like that, so probably have to hit up Muspa soon. Scorpion, I must just say, just do that on Scorpion task through Wildy Slayer. Scurrius, I'm waiting for the stackable clues because you get a bunch of mediums from this boss, and what happens is if you leave the instance and try to go back in, you has like a delay, so you can't just like go out and drop the clue and then like go straight back in, or it's just really annoying. So I figure we'll just wait till the stackable clues, and then every time I get to like 5 mediums we can just go do them and come back and repeat. Vard, this is another boss where I need to do Yama to get the Oath Plate, and I'm just missing the axe head and the pet. Last axe piece until it's complete. Whisperer, we turbo spooned. Missing the quartz and the pet. Kind of waiting on the Delve boss because they're giving us an upgrade to the Tormented Bracelet, so any sort of time save, like I don't mind Whisperer, it's a good boss, but any sort of time save on a long grind is probably worth waiting for, so I think we'll end up waiting for that. And then Yama. So I did this for the first like 2 or 3 days before the drop rates got nerfed. Saw a few items, I got the horn myself. Then they nerfed the drops, and then they added elite clues, and then they changed the elite clue rate from like I think it was 1 in 66 to 1 in 30 now, so waiting on this one, I think I've won a little bit, so I think I'm probably safe to start that soon to get the most out of it. It's actually a pretty fun boss. Like when I was doing it, I've just got to learn some of the new tech that's come out since release, so should be alright. Moving on to raids. Now, obviously we've finished Chambers, 12 out of 12. Chipping away at CMs, it's probably one of my favourite things in the game, doing trio iron CMs, or even the 5-mans are pretty fun, to be honest. So that'll be fun, chipping away at that with the boys, get some elite clues. They are nerfing loot from Chambers, nerfing herbs and stuff, but I guess that's fairly irrelevant to me at this point. Tob, again, this is fun content, man. I love a bit of Tob. I'm still going to chip away at some hard modes, like I have got everything, but it wouldn't be bad to get an extra holy kit to put on a second scythe, just so I can fashionscape it up a bit, have the 2 different scythes. There's also a few of my friends still need to get like the dust or a kit or something, so probably just do a few of those with the boys. Now, moving on to the best content in the game, and anyone who's good at RuneScape absolutely loves TOA. Like, it's like a pretty big consensus and accurate consensus that this is just one of the best pieces of content in the game, and you can't really argue with it. Like, yeah. I mean, no, all jokes aside, I did end up getting the Shadow fairly recently. It was probably about 2 months ago. Uh, Took 33 purples. I've only done, I think I've done 3 raids since getting it, and it was noticeably better. Like, I will give it that. Um, Having the Shadow just makes the raid a lot better. Better, or about as good as it can be anyway. But they are heading in the right direction. Like, they're proposing a bunch of changes with the summer sweep up, and they've already done a few changes that have made it a bit more bearable. So, maybe one day in the future we will finish 2K TOA, but it's definitely not like high on the priority list. That's for sure. Yeah, not much more to say. Moving on to clues, we have finished beginner, finished easy. This absolutely spooned easy clues. This was a very long time ago. That might make people cry a little bit. I mean, 2 of each Monk G. Read it and weep, I guess. Medium clues, we are missing 1 item, which is the Elegant Legs. I've been 1 item away from finishing this since like 1,000 mediums, so we're starting to pay the price a little bit for the easy clues, but that's alright. Everything's been passive since 1,000. I mean, it's all just from random like PVM or Slayer or birdhouses or skilling, like mining and fishing, just shit them out. Hard clues, we're looking good here. Missing 1 item. Ancient D'hide Shield. This was looking pretty grim at like 3k, but we've pulled it back. But ultimately, I kind of consider hard clues 0 time, because if you're serious about clog, you're just going to continue doing them forever anyway to get like your gilded and 3rd age chance. So whether you go lucky or not, I guess it doesn't really matter on hard clues. We've got elites here at 1700 completed. Just missing the boot from the common items. Tuxedo, we're looking at, I think it's 1 in 200 to see a tuxedo piece. So we've got 7. Looks like we're about a piece and a half behind. So hopefully that catches up at some point. But it is what it is. It's another one of those things you're just going to be doing forever. So it doesn't really matter. Master clues, 3 bloodhounds, easy to obtain. Missing 3 Godsword kits, apparently not that easy to obtain. Missing the 2 rare kits as well, and then obviously just some Anku and Mummy missing. All the common stuff is complete. Rares, we have 1 piece of 3rd age, pretty good piece, no complaints. I think we're nearing rate, or maybe I've already hit rate. I'm not 100% sure on the rates of 3rd age, but yeah, maybe due for a 2nd piece soon. Only things I'm missing here though of note are like the 2 gilded helmets, so we're doing really well on gilded, no complaints. Elite again, I guess the only things that change are down here. You've got some of the elite unique gilded that I've gotten, so we're basically just missing this bottom left corner. There's some D'hide and then the Ring of Nature and Lava Dragon Mask, so hopefully get some of that soon. Master clues, I don't think anything changes here. Oh, just the 2 rings of coins. That's it. So nothing else to really say there. Now mini games, everything's green other than BA and LMS. So I've got 140 high gambles. This could be a concern in the future. Like, it could be a limiting factor, because I think those clans that sell leeches and stuff, like, I guess they expect you to be tick perfect, and being Australian, it's not really going to work out too well in the American and EU worlds, so don't really think that will ever be an option. But the way I've gotten to this point with 140 gambles is just doing level 5 rolls for like people in Discord or people I know, or just potting with the boys if they ever feel like doing BA. It's kind of just happened over the years. I don't mind BA, it's actually pretty good content, but it's just a struggle to find teams, obviously, for that. So definitely could be a limiting factor in the future, but it is what it is. Now, another piece of content that should definitely be part of the clog and is just so enjoyable, like PvP is a very popular thing these days, especially with the Deadman mode going on, like everybody loves some PvP. As you can see, I've played a shitload of games. I'm really fucking good at it. I've just deleted every one. I've won every game I've played. So yeah, we're nearly finished up here. Shouldn't be too long. Moving on. So most things green here. What stands out is forestry. This is something I've been doing recently. Getting a little fucked over on the whistle and the garland, but I'm doing the god eggs at the same time, so like running around and getting the ants to try and finish evil chicken. So I do kind of consider this zero time, but it's a pretty underrated clog. Like this does take quite a few hours unless you're a spoon, but yeah, that's kind of what we've been chipping away at recently. We'll jump down to misc. So just missing 2 items here. We're just missing the metal slice, which is the Addy Dragon piece, which is for the kite shield. I'm still doing those on tasks. Extended, obviously. Been doing that for a long time. And then the evil chicken feet. We have only had 4 rolls at evil chicken. And I'm like 3.3k eggs, so it's pretty grim, but I'm hoping we get these soon enough to finish that off. I guess something of note here, I think I mentioned it earlier, but full Dragonstone is complete. There's not too many irons that have finished that, so it's pretty nice to have that done. Not much else of note there. So Slayer, missing quite a few things actually. The Wyvern Visi we've been chipping away at for a long time. At 22,000 kills, so around twice the drop rate, roughly. Everything's just been on task. I don't really feel like camping it off task yet. Obviously, I'm going to continue that through Kona. And speaking of Kona, we have 1 roll at dusk. I think we got 6 hasters. We've done around 1,200 chests, all before the update of superiors where they're guaranteed keys. Doesn't seem like such a bad grind now that that's a thing. So I wasn't looking forward to it at first, but it might be nice to do a little bit of Slayer eventually again. So actually kind of looking forward to that. And then we've got Dagon High. I think I've done maybe around 150, 200 chests of that. So not too deep into the grind, but that'll be on the cards. I've just been waiting for the stackable clues because juggling the clues back from the Wildy Slayer Cave is just pure fucking misery, so I don't really feel like doing that at the moment, but that'll definitely be on the cards after the clue update. And then we've got Sulphur Blades, so I guess that's just an easy clog I can get at some point. And then we'll go to the pets. So this is something I get asked often in games, like how many pets do you have and whatnot. So for anybody who might be listening that's asked me about that before, here you go. We are 47 out of 64. I've definitely fallen behind in the last couple of years, like since I've been focusing skilling. So we've got quite a few to catch up on, but I went over in detail, but like every boss, so I don't need to go over it again. But I guess it's a good thing that you can like see here, like what you'd expect going for like maybe 200 mil in skills, how many sort of skilling pets you get. There's a few things missing, like I'm meant to have 6 Chin and 3 Herbie. I think I might be missing a Rocky and maybe 2 or 3 more Phoenixes as well. That I just got before the update to where you could see multiple pets on the clog. And not much else to say there, really. Got a couple of these. Yeah. So that's the clog finished. So I guess the next question is, what's next? And to keep it short and simple, I think the most likely route is just continue what I've been doing, chip away at the clog till sailing comes out, and if I get the urge to skill, I'll probably boot up some alts or something, but there's no real plans to quit the game or anything. Now, am I obese and have I ever seen sunlight? I mean, you got me. I'm 35 BMI and I'm too fat to actually exit my house without a whale sling, so sunlight and touching grass just doesn't exist for me. But nah, I mean, the people in my circle obviously know I take nutrition, exercise, and health pretty serious, and I've been lifting quite consistently most of my adult life, and even for a few years when I was back in high school, I was lifting all the way back then. So I'm currently in the best shape of my life. I'd say I'm sitting at roughly 9 to 11% body fat and have a pretty clean diet. So I'm actually in the middle of a lean bulk at the moment. I'm up 5 kgs from my lowest point on the cut. As for cardio, I get into running on and off, but I don't take it too seriously, and it's not great for your body, like your joints. So I usually just opt for steady state zone 2 cardio after a workout, which would be like 30 to 40 minutes incline walking or on a bike, Stairmaster, things like this. It's all pretty much the same. And then on my rest days, I'll usually go for a long walk, a run, or do some sort of bodyweight exercises at home. Got to get the vitamin D, of course. It's good to get outside, get a bit of fresh air. Once upon a time, I definitely did sleep deprive to keep up with RS gains. It felt like shit trying to compete while working full time and keeping up a healthy lifestyle with gym and stuff, but in recent years, that's just not a thing. I keep a pretty strict sleep cycle and I aim for 7 to 9 hours a night. And I spend a good 15 hours a week exercising, whether that's like gym or running. And my diet consists of almost entirely whole foods. I'm aiming for 2 grams of protein per kilo of body weight, and I'm in a 300 to 500 calorie surplus right now, just to supplement the lean bulk, essentially. Now, I know that a lot of the high-level skilling community loves competitions and records, and I used to take part in a few here and there, but I learned pretty quick that it's not really a sustainable way to play. And with the hours some of these guys do now, it's getting crazy, like mad respect, but I could never, man. My playstyle is just pure consistency. I attribute that consistency and the ability to like get to where I'm at now just to doing methods that I enjoy and have been able to stick to long term, basically. And I guess the mix of adding in PVM over the last like 7 years has definitely helped to keep me on track as well, and provides a pretty nice mental break from the skilling monotony. But ultimately, it's about finding a balance between IRL and RS, because as soon as you burn out, you just lose so much time. Like, even if you're one of those guys who can pump out the 120 HP weeks or even more, like, it's insane. You rarely see them being able to maintain that over long periods of time. And if it causes you to burn out for weeks or months at a time, you may as well have just been trying to maintain your 70 or 80 EHP, doing sustainable methods and sleeping and eating correctly. Like, yeah, it's not much point if you end up burning out. Let's just put it that way. I find that in the end, RuneScape is more of an endurance test. Some of the best players are the ones who have shown consistency over many, many years of gameplay. Look, I definitely respect the gamers who can put up some insane numbers during comps, or even players like Hyger or Lynx Titan and many others who have managed to hold those standards over many years. But eventually it takes a toll on everyone, and that's not really how I play. So I guess I'd also attribute the consistency to never being distracted by other games. I tend to just refer to myself as an addict rather than a gamer. The only other game I've sunk any hours into was COD. COD 4, Modern Warfare 2, Black Ops 2, things like that back in high school. And even then I remember AFKing Ivy Trees or Rocktails on RS at the same time. So I never had any interest in games like WoW, League of Legends, CSGO, or whatever people are really playing now. I don't really keep up with it, to be honest. At that point, I'd rather just go outside, and I guess in that respect, I'm a bit of a normie. Many people also ask, like, how do you play so much, and how do you stay consistent and still enjoy the game? And if I can leave you with one takeaway from this video, I'd just preach consistency and trying to find a balance between the game and IRL hobbies, something that's maintainable without sacrificing your health, and just focus on doing the most efficient method that you enjoy, basically. I guess another big part would be utilizing mobile gameplay as much as possible. It's a huge factor. For many years, that was the only thing that allowed me to stay competitive, really. Just being able to AFK at work or gym. Even driving, I'd just like jump in NMZ or head to Redwoods. It adds up over time. Without this becoming some turbo long ramble, I hope that I've answered some of the common questions that I get and given you a bit of insight into how I got to this point. Considering my playtime and how long I've been playing, it's probably pretty hard to believe that I still really enjoy RS, but it's got everything I need, whether I just feel like chilling, brain off, doing a skill, or low-level boss to sweating, trying to PB raids or do CAs with the boys. It doesn't really matter what mood you're in, you can always progress. So I don't plan on being that guy who gets 200 mil all and just logs out. It's a pretty common occurrence, and I do get it. Like, when people spend so much time over many, many years, like, you'd expect them to want to do something else after they finish a massive grind like this. So yeah, I'll still be around, even if it's just playing ults to skill here and there. The plan currently will be to just continue chipping away at the clog, but I did find that without having both skilling and PVM, it tended to get stale at certain points, especially if it's just full-time PVM. Like, I think I could skill forever if it came down to it, but for now I'll definitely put some hours into the clog, and we'll just reassess from there. So I think that's about it for now, guys. I appreciate all the people who came to the 200 mil all party, and all the beasts who have given me motivation or wish me well along the way over the years. Shout out to Spoon Court, of course, for their entertainment while I got through certain grinds. Chatting shit on Discord with the boys is a game changer. If you ever feel stuck on certain grinds, I would recommend just jumping in voice with the boys. This was kind of weird just talking to myself, but apparently some people enjoy listening to this stuff. I definitely have no plans on becoming a YouTuber, streamer, anything like that really, but I think it'll be nice to look back on videos like this, even if it was just once a year, to see some of the bank progress or provide updates on any sort of ult I'm playing. If you have any questions or want to get in touch, feel free to comment on the video or DM me on Twitter or Discord. I'll put the links in the description. And if you want to see the progression of my account, like along the way, or things that I've achieved in the past, it's pretty much all documented on my Twitter. I don't shit post, so it doesn't take long to go through. I just treat it like a timeline and post only big achievements. Anyway, I think I've pretty much covered everything I want to, so thanks for listening, I guess, and take it easy, guys. I'll see you around.